There's no profit in the cure. This is where vaccines step in because they're expensive to produce. Sometimes it takes years of development and trials before they're deemed ready. Then you get your shot and they say, come back for another in 5 or 10 years' time. You see how that works? There's no profit in the cure, but there's a lot of profit in a kind of medicine which doesn't cure anything. These guys are geniuses. Vaccines are medicine for healthy people. Wow, let's say it again. Vaccines are medicine for healthy people. Call me a cynic if you like, but if you can figure out how to sell a medicine to healthy people, you just created a brand new market. So much effort goes into confusing the public about what will keep them healthy and what will or won't contribute to disease. Why? One reason is that for those who happen to be in the business of manufacturing medicine, and if you care to look into it, you'll learn it's a very big business indeed, then healthy people are bad for business. Nature doesn't make vaccines. There are those who say she doesn't make pandemic-causing viruses either, but that's another story. Nature gives every life form an immune system, and if we need a little support, the remedy is always found in nature, not in a syringe. The bottom line for me is this. Why is it so difficult to find legitimate open debate on the vaccine question? Every major search engine, every major social media site, every news corporation, all seem to want you to believe it's because there is no debate. That doesn't mean the information isn't out there though. You just have to be smart with how you go about locating it. The pro-vaccine lobby know damn well they can't make it go away entirely, but by suppressing something, they push it into the darker fringes of social media land, where it's harder for that idea to form into anything with any danger of being taken seriously by Mr. and Mrs. Joe Blogs. The goal of deliberately marginalising an idea in this fashion is polarisation of the debate surrounding that idea. BBC, you're coming in for special criticism now, only because you arrogantly hold yourselves up as a bastion of impartiality. I've read more than one article on your site when researching this topic, which is guilty, whether consciously or unconsciously, of exactly this kind of polarisation. Stop lying to people. We are quite capable of deciding for ourselves. So thanks to this polarisation technique, we now have one camp who line up like Pavlov's dog to get a shot in the arm, obediently don a mask in public and wash their hands 15 times a day, and another who are foaming at the mouth and waving placards in the street. Anyone with a genuine desire to figure out for themselves where the truth might lie, first has to make their way through a maze of propaganda. Robert De Niro, of all people, when challenged during a public television interview about the initial decision to show controversial anti-vaccine documentary Vaxxed at a film festival he runs in New York, responded, "I'm not anti-vaccine, I'm pro-safe vaccines. So should we all be." Cards on the table time. I'm not prepared to say I will not want to vaccinate our as yet unborn children, but I consider it a responsibility to speak out against a society which tolerates a culture of derision and shame keeping people in line. I will ask difficult questions in the doctor's office, and in the absence of any satisfactory response, I will be highly sceptical. I will weigh up the risk of a child in my care contracting a certain disease against the inherent risk of administering a vaccine against that disease. I will look ingredients up online, and it's highly unlikely I'll ever take another vaccine myself now. My current position is that there are a few very good cases for vaccination against specific bacteria-caused conditions. I am acutely aware of the possibility of throwing the baby out with the bathwater here. I cannot lambast people for falling prey to polarisation due to Big Pharma, the government and the mainstream media's blatant propaganda, and then do the same myself to the opposite end of the spectrum. I won't be surprised if this video doesn't stay up too long. The so-called tech giants, Google, Facebook, whoever else, are openly suppressing anyone who raises questions surrounding this topic. This suppression is now built into the terms of service on these platforms and seems to cover a diverse range of topics. It should be noted that this policy has come about due to pressure from outside influences, government, and those with enough money to influence government. This quote springs to mind: "I would rather have questions that can't be answered than answers that can't be questioned." I've had videos taken down before, and I've received the customary email from YouTube telling me it's because they have breached community guidelines. I've asked very directly and received no answer as to what specifically was said that was in breach of those community guidelines. I've read Google's terms of service and the community guidelines and am none the wiser. For those still on the fence, ask yourselves this: why the cover-up? Couldn't be because there's something to hide, could it? My investigation has newly begun, but thanks to a series of links you guys have sent me recently, I'm already delving into the origins of the model on which vaccine theory is built. If one can understand the model, that is, the theoretical construct underlying the protocols and practices, one can usually topple an entire house of cards with little to no effort. Watch this space.